everyone, and welcome to Club 3 episode 11 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM22 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Now, I know it's been a while. Apologies for that. Since the last episode, I've been dealing with some health issues. They haven't totally gone away, so it could still be a little bit random in terms of when I'm able to produce content over the next few days, but bear with me on that one. If you're not on my Twitter or on my Discord, links in the description below, come and join me over there. That's where I give out information about when I am going to be making videos, when I've got health issues, etc. Because it does happen a bit for me, just because of the disability that I have, etc. So come and join me over there. You'll get all the information you need when that's happening. But for now, I'm fine enough to be back at it. I'm looking forward to getting back at it. Let's see where we are currently in our Rolling in the Isles series. Let's do this. So where we're at in terms of this particular series is that we're at club number 3, which is Colwyn Bay in the second tier of Welsh football. It's our second season, not long into it, only 6 games played so far in this particular season. Last season we finished second. We were ranked second in the pre-season preview, should I say. And in the end, that's where we ended up. Kevin Druids took the top spot, but things have changed a little bit over the transfer window and leading into this second season. If we go into the league itself now and we go and look at this season's season preview, you'll see that we are 91-1 odds-on favourites to win the whole league this season. So if we don't do it this year, I'm not quite sure when we're going to do it. It's all in our favour. We had a very good transfer window, including a very good young striker that has properly set himself going. He's sitting top of the goals scored column, Thomas Johnson. He's got 7 goals in the 6 games that we've played so far. So you can see that he's started very brightly, as has a couple of other players as well. But yeah, 91-1 odds-on favourites. The last episode that we had wasn't that long ago in terms of in-game action. Apologies again that it was a long time in real terms since you and I have been together, but that just sometimes happens, doesn't it? But Airbus UK was the previous match that we played because they are, in theory, ranked second in our league, and it was going to be an interesting one to see whether we could put one over on them and properly demonstrate why our odds are so good and stacked in our favour. And we managed to do it. We got a 2-0 win, which was really important. And then we played Bangor City in the cup competition. Now, Bangor City are currently sitting top of the division above us in the Welsh tiered system. So they are at the top of the table in the top division in Wales. And they were too good for us, basically. Away from home, we got beaten quite easily, 4-1. But we gave as good an account as we could possibly have given. And ultimately, it just wasn't going to be good enough on this particular occasion. We need to improve immensely to get to that sort of level. But the reason we've come back so quickly, because normally I give 4 or 5 games at least between 2 episodes, but this time there's only 1 match played between the 2, and that's because we play Ruthin in the JD Cymru North today in this episode. And if we go back to the league table, you'll see they're the team sitting in second position, but only on goal difference to us at the top of the table, both with a pretty much identical record. 4 wins, 2 draws, no losses either team. And then that added goal in our goal difference column just gives us the edge, 14 points each. So it was a good game for us to come back to. Ultimately, if we win the game today and we are at home, which is a positive, then that will give us a 3-point gap over them, and it will really lay down a marker to say even the top teams around us can't cope with us. Of course, if we don't quite win today, then that just changes the feel a little bit and lets us know that there are 1 or 2 teams that could cause us a problem in this particular division, even though we are so odds-on favourites to go up. So, big game really in the context of where we're at. They're going to be up for it, you would imagine. Can we match that and take the points? Let's find out. So as we reacquaint ourselves with this particular group of players, you'll notice that we do have a couple of minor health issues, a couple of fitness issues for a couple of players. Now, it does stretch unfortunately, into the first team as well for today's match, because both Danny Jones and Brad Jackson, who play rotate in this right-hand side of midfield, are both slightly knocked by a fitness issue. So one or other of them has to start. It's Danny Jones that gets that nod because his conditioning is slightly higher, although Brad Jackson is usually the one that does start in that particular position in our first team. So he's on the bench today just as cover, just in case Danny Jones can't quite make it through the 90 minutes. But it's unfortunate when both of those injuries happen to the same position in your starting lineup, isn't it, really? But that's just the way it is. Other than that, we haven't really rotated too much so far this season. You can see a few players have got some game time, including a pretty bad performance by Josh Bailey, bless him, who started the season quite poorly. But other than that, you can see there's a few gaps around. So still yet to give all of our team a first team outing. We've also got a bit of an issue for Ryan George in his conditioning at the back. But because it's the big game against Ruthin, who sit at the top of the table with us, I feel like it's worth putting our first 11 out on the pitch one last time to see if we can get those 3 points and then begin to rotate a little bit here and there just to keep everybody fit and healthy and fresh for games to come this season. So that's the plan. Keep an eye out for Johnson up top. He's the superstar of our show, but there's one or two others as well, including in the back line, both Gareth Davis, the goalkeeper, and George at the back are listed as pretty good players for us. So there's one or two to keep an eye on as we move forward and, as I say, reacquaint ourselves with this particular group of players. So bearing all of that in mind, let's see how we get on in this particular game. And to do that, for today's match, we're going with Coughlin in goal, George at right back, Gammond at left back, Grogan and Davies in central defence, Scott and Woodford in central midfield, Jones on the right, Evans on the left, and Jones and Johnson up top with a bench of Gill, Bailey, Thompson, Jackson, Bullock, Lake and Spruce. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So because of the loss in the last game in the Cup, albeit against a really, really big team in the Welsh tiered system, I've gone with a slightly subdued team talk, sort of, in terms of hands on hips, so quite a chilled out gesture, but just suggesting to them ultimately that we need to stick to our plan, be patient. The result will come if we do that, because ultimately we are favourites for this game for a reason. We're favourites for the league for this reason, and we'll have to see whether we can forget the Cup competition that's now come and gone and get straight back at it in a pretty big league match for this particular campaign. As I've said in the intro and the start of this episode, if we win it, it really sets down a marker for the rest of the league to suggest we are worth our 91-1 odds-on favourites for this particular title. But to start off with, there's a bit of a problem to sort out. 13 minutes in, a corner comes in from Ruthin on that far side, and it's a little bit of a mix-up in the middle of the 6-yard box, really. Ball comes in, the original header, I don't know whether it was connected to or not at the front post there, but we certainly didn't make it. And in the middle of the 6-yard box, it was just sitting there for somebody to have a poke at, either in clearance or scoring a goal. Unfortunately, they scored a goal and we go 1-0 down at 13 minutes. So the cat is amongst the pigeons here. Ruthin has started very, very nicely and brightly, and again get down the right-hand side. And again, we cause problems. Davies in the centre of our defence, who is one of our two recognised best players in our entire setup, considering all of the pundits back him to be that, has not started brightly at all, which is really disappointing. There's a really good opportunity at the front post for him to head that clear, but he misses the mark by a little bit of a way, and it goes sailing over the top of his head into the middle of the goal again, and they get a simple chance again, and we go 2-0 down. So immediately we're going into the shouts, and we're going to, just hold off for a second. No, we're going to berate the players. Having missed that chance, wouldn't want to berate them just having scored a goal. But at the moment, they're not doing well enough at all. We've had 5 shots at goal, only 1 on target. So we're getting some chances, but we're not making the most of it at all. And Ruthin really are. Good defensive work in the end there from Grogan. And that sets up an opportunity for us to have a go ourselves at building up an attack, holding on to the ball a little bit and just seeing if we can find a way to get through to their penalty box and have a decent effort ourselves. Let's see if we can do it. We have built up into midfield. Scott switches it out to the right-hand side, drops it back to George. Jones comes deep from the striking role to get involved in play. Scott supports it and then has a little bit of a wayward long shot, really. Tried to hook it into that near corner of the goal, couldn't quite get the swing on the ball, and it goes sailing wide in the end. 37 minutes in, again, we're still creating more chances, but we're not doing enough with them. 58% possession of the ball, so we're doing okay at keeping it. 4 yellow cards already in this first half is not what I'm looking for either. That puts us under a little bit of pressure for the second half to kind of temper our tackling a little bit. But ultimately, at half-time, we are losing 2-0, and we are going to have to do something about it. So, first off, we go into the dressing room, and we absolutely throw the water bottle at them. This is not what the sort of performance that we need. What was that? Get your act together, start playing the favourites we're meant to be. That's the one we're going. I don't care that they're demotivated. Hopefully, it will push them into a better performance. Then we're going to go into our tactics. And for those that remember, in this system, we've got 3 tactics that we've been training, all based around this 4-4-2. But our balanced version that we're currently in, a defensive version, and this one, the attacking version. And that's what we're going to go into in this second half. We're going to go into the attacking version of our 4-4-2 and just see if we can get on the front foot a little bit early on in this second half. Get a goal back early is the plan, and put them under pressure and see if we can swing the momentum. So we're going to fire them up. We've gone into an attacking mentality. Not an awful lot changes when we change between these 3 set styles of play. It's more about just the attacking mentality and the defensive mentality that shifts a little bit. And we're a little bit more dynamic in getting the ball forward in this particular version of our style of play. So we'll see whether it works. But again, it's Ruthin on the ball. And again, they've broken the lines and got through on goal. This time, the goalkeeper actually does something about it on this particular occasion. And we managed to boot it clear, but only for a corner kick. And we've seen how that works for us already. This time we do get it cleared. Jackson drops in to get involved in the play and hold up the ball, but then the highlight goes. So it's fine that we've had 16 shots at goal, but it's really not that we've only had 4 on target. And that is where we are really struggling today. Our superstar of a striker, Johnson, is not having his best game, obviously. Davis intercepts a really good sweeping passing move there for Ruthin, who was trying to pass it through the lines, and eventually he steps in and sorts it out for us. Woodford gets the ball, chucks it over the top for Jones to run onto down the right-hand side, crosses the ball in, and there's the chance. And it's Luke Jones, our second striker, who is more there as a presence rather than a striker of the ball, but heading is more his thing, etc. He's got a little bit more about him physically than our youngster Johnson has, and he demonstrated it there. The cross comes in, he made the most of it, got his head on the ball, and eventually puts it in the back of the net. And we do go to 2-1, still with half an hour to play, so there is time, and we are again creating the chances. It's about, can we find a way to put another one in the back of the net to really pile the pressure on. 68 minutes, the time is ticking away, so we're going to pause the game momentarily and go into the tactics page and see what changes personnel-wise we can make. And there's a number of issues, isn't there? I mean, one, we are now beginning to see a tired side because we haven't rotated them, because we needed to get going this season and properly get into our stride. You can see that it's not quite worked out at this important point with the amount of conditioning issues that we've got. So we've got to figure some of that out. Got quite a few yellow cards as well, and 1 or 2 really underperforming players. I'm specifically looking at Woodford in midfield, for example, and maybe even Evans on the left-hand side. But both of those don't have a yellow card either. So it's a bit of a balancing act as to exactly what we now do in terms of balancing conditioning, yellow cards, and poor performances. So firstly, what we're going to do is we are going to change Woodford and put Thompson in that midfield role. We are going to keep the Metzala role that Woodford was playing, but we are going to switch it round. I think it will just work out slightly better being the other way around. So we're going to do that as a starting point. We're going to take out at least one of these defensive yellow cards, and it's going to be down the left-hand side. So we're going to put Bailey in for an opportunity to play down that left-hand side. And then I feel like we've got to change something in this attacking third to change something up. Now, I don't really want to take this guy away. Thomas Johnson might not look anything spectacular to you at first sight, but in the context of this division, this is quite spectacular, really. 15 finishing, 14 composure, etc. So we're going to leave him on. We're going to try and change the supply line slightly, and we're going to take Evans out, and we're going to put Bullock on down the left-hand side and just change that up slightly. We're going to have to stay in our attacking mentality. It's what's been trained into the players. But what we will do once we go back into the match, and we're allowed to, is we'll go back into the shouts and chuck another shout in there and see if we can find a way to boost their performance through that. But we are on the ball again down the right-hand side. George this time puts it in. We get an opportunity away, but unfortunately the goalkeeper was sat right there. So into the shouts we go. We're going to demand more from them and just see if that's enough to boost us again. The momentum seems to shift a little bit in our favour in the most recent minutes of the match. And again, we win it at the back from Grogan. And this is another chance for us to build up the attack down the right-hand side. Jones crosses it in, and it's the substitute Bullock on this near side that couldn't quite get his shot squeezed in at the near post, but we do get a corner kick from it. Corner comes in, and it's a scrambled mess at the back, and then they boot it clear. Fortunately for them, unfortunately for us, we had a couple of digs at it at that point in the middle of that 6-yard box, and again, it didn't quite fall for us. 15 minutes to play. We've got a free kick outside the box from Scott, and he puts it narrowly over the top of the bar. It's a set of near misses today. 24 shots at goal, 8 on target, 10 minutes to play. We're going to pause the game momentarily. We're going to go into the shouts. What we're going to do here, we've already fired them up. We've already demanded more. Do we encourage? I think we're just going to demand more again, to be honest. And we're going to go into the tactics page. In possession is the one area I'm going to change. We're just going to reduce the tempo slightly, get a little bit more, what would I say? A little bit more clinical nature in our passing. Make sure it's a little bit more structured in terms of making it more accurate. That's the word I was trying to look for. We're going to not run at them so much. We're going to chuck the ball up quicker, and we're going to see if ultimately we can get our shots away quicker as well. So that's the intention with the changes that I've made. We're going to narrow it slightly in the attacking width. Those are the changes just to make us a little bit more accurate in our chances, hopefully, up top for the last 10 minutes. If that works, that would be fantastic. I didn't quite manage to click the buttons I was looking for. Then there we go. And that should send us into the next highlight. Let's see how we get on in these last few minutes. But the time is ticking. The cross comes in and goes over the top of everybody off that free kick. Bullock picks it up again and then loses out, unfortunately. It's been a bit of a disaster game, really. None of them have shown up particularly to properly take care of this particular match. And ultimately, it's led to a very disappointing performance thus far. We've still got 5 minutes to play. There's still an opportunity for a counter-attack here, potentially. But there's also an opportunity for them to put the ball in the back of the net, and they do it really well. We have not been at the races. Now, to be honest, the flow of this save has completely been broken by my recent health issues. I've lost the flow of where we are with this particular team. And unfortunately, having had such a big loss in the cup because we played such a big team has done us in, it feels like, in terms of the momentum of this particular season. But we'll have to fight hard to get it back. It looks like we're not going to get it back today, unfortunately, and we are going to have a deficit to fight back in the league. But maybe that just suits us at the moment. Maybe, and it's trying to find a silver lining here to a very dark cloud in a way, maybe losing this game is no bad thing. It will focus the minds a little bit. It will see who's really up for the mental battle in terms of our team. You can see that dotted through the team, we didn't play badly in sections of our team. The defensive duo had a few issues in the first half, didn't they? But sorted itself out. Scott, Jones on the right and Jones up top. The two Jones, not related to each other as far as I know, but those two played pretty well. It just didn't quite work out the rest of it. Johnson, the big superstar of our side on big games like that, should be doing better than a 6.4. And we created 25 shots at goal and really didn't get enough from it, did we? 1.99 XG rating, the expected goals. We only got 1 goal from it. They got 3 goals from their 1.5. So they were much more clinical from their 5 shots on target. That's all they had. They scored 3 goals. We didn't. I'm quite disappointed by that. But it's going to take just a little while, it feels like, to regain the momentum of the save. So let's see if we can do that over the next couple of episodes. So, of course, that result puts us into second place, very much so. 3 points behind Ruthin at the top of the table. We've now got a deficit to claw back. I think that might help us, to be honest. I think it might focus the mind a little bit, but we do have to be very careful over this small amount of losing streak that we're beginning to go on. 2 games in a row against very good sides, it must be said, but still 2 losses in a row that we could just start to drift if we're not very careful. Now, the next match out is Queen's Park, who are sitting down in 10th position in the league. So that's not a bad side for us to play next to see if we can regain that. In terms of what we're going to come back for in next episode, and next episode will probably be on Friday, just so you know. I'm just taking it a little bit easy and getting myself back into the swing of things. So probably on Friday, you'll get another episode. We'll probably come back for Holywell at the beginning of November. So 3 or 4 matches between times, including the first round of the actual JD Welsh Cup competition as well. Hopefully we'll get a minnow in that one and get through a couple of rounds and build some important confidence for our squad, I think, in that. But we've got Queen's Park, we've got Holyhead, and we've got Llangefni in the league to play. Hopefully we'll get some good points from that and just begin to build up a little bit of confidence again, having had a little bit of a knock recently. It's not the return to form that I really wanted in terms of getting back into the save. It is going to take me a little while to feel the momentum of it shift again. Apologies for the break in the schedule. It was unfortunate, and it might still be a little bit of hit and miss over the next few days. But what I'd like to say is thank you for the support out there. I've had a few direct messages and personal messages of just wishing me well and inquiring as to how things are going, etc. I really appreciate it. I know that some of you miss the content as much as I miss doing it. So we'll get back into the swing of it. But hopefully in the next couple of episodes, we'll begin to get that momentum back again. Not quite there today, but that's just going to have to do it for now, unfortunately. So we move on. Thank you for joining me. I do really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button on this particular episode. That'll help me get seen by more people. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.